Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to my vlog for the week of April 17th, 2023. It has been some week, lots of important events, personal life events happening, and all that. But it has also been like more business, practical side of creative work. But before I get into that, I want to share something that I made and I'm actually using. This is something I made mostly by myself. I think I mentioned that I sometimes go to a jewelry class, and this one I actually wore this Saturday when I went to take another class, and I was happy that eventually I could make a piece of jewelry that I actually enjoyed wearing in public. I mean, it was made well enough that I could wear it in public. So that, and I don't know, I have been feeling so tired. It's like I'm out of breath when I wake up. I'm out of breath when I'm going to bed. It's like I just want to go and sleep more. It's not like I'm not sleeping, but I think it has been lack of sleep over the last almost a month or more than that, 5 weeks or so. And I think that exhaustion has caught up to me, and I just want to sleep more. And yeah, I'm allowing myself to rest as much as possible. Obviously, I can't sleep 24 hours. But whatever, I am actually paying attention to what my body is asking for. And I'm trying as much as I can to give that rest. So having said that, let's go to the class that I took this Saturday. It was something I have never done before. You may recall that a few weeks back I did a mask class, and where I made a clay mask, which was something that is primarily for the purpose of home decor. Of course, clay masks can also be worn if it is done for that purpose. This was entirely a home decor thing, and I had truly enjoyed like dipping my hands in the clay. So this time I was excited because it was mask class that was not could be for home decor, obviously, because this is a small size. But this class was offered by a company called Eric's Inspiration. It is done by two guys, and they are so creative. They treat their paper. These are paper mache masks, and they made these smaller ones for us, the novice students, to be able to make some progress in class. But they showed us the process of how they do that, how they first sculpt a face. It could be like, a wearable mask for an adult person, and they would sculpt that face, and then they would make a mold out of it, and then they would make paper mache masks out of that mold. And they showed the process of how they go about doing it. And they had these little masks ready for us with everything in place, gessoed and primed and front and back, for us to just have fun painting and being creative. They gave us feathers and paints and rhinestones. If I had more time in the class, and this is not finished, I do intend to finish all these mark making so that, it's like a hair. Clearly, that there was not enough. I was waiting for paint to dry. I didn't know that I should have layered my paint on a little less thick. But, it is what it is. My first time, I go in feeling like a beginner, not expecting myself to come out a pro, and not expecting, I think that's kind of audacious to think that, I'll go in and come out with the same level of product that the expert who's teaching has. That's not practical. One can fantasize, but but I am pleased with the beginnings of this. Is I don't know where this is going to end. These are play pieces for me, and I had a long peacock feather, and I didn't know how to go about it. So I showed them. I'm kind of have a vision that I want to incorporate this big feather also, and like I had this too and that long feather, and I was trying to see if I could stick it down from behind, but since the mask carves in, so the whole thing would either kind of not offer itself to the vision that I was having, that oh, this is going to be sticking up. Of course, if this was a solid bag, that was no big deal, and that is the difference between working in different media, because most of my stuff are flat on the back, and attaching something is no big deal. You just have to have the right kind of glue. But when you are working with something that is a hollow base, it's a different story. And so they said, okay, so maybe if you could curl your feather also, and he showed me how. And I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea that that is something that's doable. And when he did that, I changed my vision. And this is what Eric did. He just carved that piece of feather for me. And then I said, okay, if that piece goes, if I put it behind the head or above the head, and then how about this? Maybe I hang these two. It may look like earrings. It may look like a continuation of the hair. Obviously, I'm not trying to create a human expression here. There is going to be that superhuman element to it. Something of a, some form of a, as if a superpower. And I don't know, I had a great time putting the rhinestones on. I usually do not put bling in my art, but this time I was inspired to, and they often do a lot of gold leafing in their masks, and you have to see their masks. Obviously, you are not local. If you are local, you would probably be very fortunate if you find a class where they're teaching. But I got their postcard, and they have a website, www.ericsinspiration.com. Eric's Inspiration, one word, and there are no apostrophes or anything. It's just ERIKSIN and then Eric's Inspiration. And they also have a Facebook page by the same name, Instagram, Eric's Inspiration, as well as a YouTube channel. I haven't had a chance to check these out yet. I just took the class yesterday and then I slept a lot. So, but I wanted to share that this was a very fabulous experience. And if you look at it, because it is at the end of the day, to me, a form of mixed media art. And the way they handle their paper, it was like, it looked like marbled leather. But then I asked, is this leather? And he said, no, that is just paper. We do everything mostly with paper. And I was, wow, just to make paper look that way. And it just, they were complex masks, and obviously these are for collectors, and it was amazing. It was amazing just to be in that class, to be making one mask myself. It was a very refreshing experience. And then I started doing another one. They are wizards. They can make anything, really. But this is a bird mask. They had one for a pig, I believe one for a fox, one for an owl, and they can basically make anything if you ask them. So it was very, very a wonderful experience for me. And there are so many things that some of the things I knew I could make that thing look that way, because oh yes, I have done mixed media art for a long time, and I know how I can make that happen. And they had not only were the masks very novel for me to look at, and it was also their execution, how they have used dimensional paints and glazes and the colors and all of it. There was such an element of mystery and fantasy to it that I typically do not envision when I create. Mine is more whimsical, but that's the whole thing. There is something, a little push to open up that corner of the mind and wonder, oh, what if I did that? What if? So, yeah, that was very inspiring, and I had a great time in the class. So, yeah, do check them out, and it was a wonderful experience. And I just love the fact that they made these small little ones. I felt that I wish I had taken my youngest with me. She would have loved it, loved to make a mask, but in a way, I'm glad that I went by myself, because if I went, then I would be kicking in a mom mode, and then I would be helping her, even though I don't know how to help myself, and that wouldn't go very well for me. But yeah, some of the joys I save for myself, and I try to not be guilty about it. So that being that, and I showed you my bracelet. What else did I do this week? Yes, it was more like business vision, because lately I had been feeling tired. I'm only growing older. It's not like the time is going to get reversed. And I need to find strategies where I can do all the things that I need to do, like having systems. A lot of things is being a solopreneur is good in a way that you have the flexibility and the freedom to make those choices, but it is also something that requires an incredible amount of discipline to not be distracted by everything. So those things, and still having some systems that take care of themselves, and I don't have to constantly have my finger in every pie of the business pie. You know what I mean. But yeah, so getting into that, and at the beginning of anything, there is the question of what are the values, what are my values, and then revisiting those and kind of checking in. A lot of it is not happening on pen and paper or any concrete surface. It's just happening inside my head, and a lot of it is like, what has changed? What do I still wish to carry forward? And what do I need to let go? Or what do I need to modify? Yeah, some of it I do need to let go, because, I just am one person, and I cannot be everything to everyone or be in everything. That's kind of immature. That would be an immature approach for me. I don't think I would be able to sustain that. So, yes, narrowing those focal areas down and focusing that I am not going to try to establish more than 5 or 10 or whatever those numbers be. And yes, it doesn't mean that I'm giving them up for forever. It's more like, this year, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe narrow it down to this quarter. This is going to be my focus. I need to have some idea. And obviously, when something is in an idea state, it is very wonderful. It has all the possibilities. But when you start to execute it, sometimes time itself becomes an issue. Like, am I able to be available to deliver what I'm aspiring? I'll give you an example. For me, it's like, if I do a craft fair, and that happens to be on the same Saturday when I am being asked to teach a class, where do I go? And the answer changes from one event to another. But to have that openness, and also, having a little bit of flexibility around it. My calendar tends to jam up basically 2 months in advance, and not all of it is my personal needs or my business needs or my health needs. I have children. And so those things, home needs, and then things crop up from nowhere that are, they don't care what you have on your schedule. And when you start to move those pieces around and you feel like, oh my God, all of these are important, but I have filled up my calendar with a lot of things that are too important. Maybe I need to change that way of doing things. And yeah, it's like, it's ingrained in me, seeing people who are, how do you put it, impractically invested in their time and energy. And I haven't had a better role model than that. So I'm trying to teach myself, at least it is coming to the awareness and accepting, and no, I cannot do these things. I cannot defy the laws of nature and be at two places at the same time. And if I do, it might not be such a good experience for me. So that, and what else? I watched 2 of the newer movies. One is, what's the name of the movie? A Man Called Otto. I loved it. I mean, it was a sweet movie. Maybe not something I would watch over and over again because it's that intriguing. But it was a sweet movie that, for a Saturday afternoon, and I really laughed and cried with the whole thing. And it was entertaining. And I rarely do things that are just entertainment, you know. So that was a good thing for me. And then I also watched Elvis, and the new movie that came out end of last year. And it was a very different take from the other Elvis related things that I have watched. And I'm a big fan of Elvis's music. And yeah. So I enjoyed those movies just for the sake of entertainment without having to invest anything from my end. And as my May shows draw near, I am kind of taking stock of, knowing that, okay, I don't need to paint 100 canvases to take there. I might take some prints, I might take some canvases, and, pace myself like that and allow myself to learn. And if I killed myself painting 100 things, and then I go there and I sell nothing, it is very crushing, and that's not helpful. So like pacing myself in that sense, however many am I going to take there, and understand that to have a price range rather than oh, I have these pieces that I really love and they cost this much, which people may not be willing or able to invest in. I would rather have some lesser priced items such as greeting cards, or I don't know if that is a helpful strategy, but some of it is you have to put into practice to see what works best, and I do not have enough data to know that yet. So we will go and see, take it one event at a time and make notes mentally, and maybe even leave some notes around it to build up an understanding as to what works for me and what doesn't, what works at certain events and not at others, what is the time, in all, applying it to everything, what works in time, space, and event, occasion, and my own work. And then see which one of these are most rewarding, and see if I can come up with a strategy based on some speculation and some experience that could give me a more stable business structure for this. So that, yeah, creative business, what it is, it's a micro business of a creative solopreneur. So there is a lot of flexibility that is needed. And yeah. So other than that, I do have my tracker, This week I actually made little marks on my on each day, so I would know, so that I don't have to try to remember if I did XYZ on that day. I just put little dots on them, so I know, okay, if I put a dot, I did the work. If I didn't put a dot, that means that day was not, I had to skip that day. So that way I'm not trying to remember and like misrepresent something. And I just love doing this on my vlog, during my vlog, mainly because, this is a process of being accountable to my practice, not only to filming a vlog, but also to actually keeping up work. And while it may not matter to anybody else, it does matter to me, and I am trying to keep myself accountable. So this is kind of getting documented, what got done and what didn't get done. So I was creative on all of these days. Doesn't that feel good? Woohoo! See, like the little dots that you can see over here. I just woke up, so I haven't done a thing this morning. So that meditation, I have been a little more actively invested in that. Like even events for small microseconds. I did nothing yesterday. I slept. I took the class, I came home, I slept. I ate, of course. I ate and slept. So there. And this morning, before I got up from bed, I meditated, and toward the end of the meditation, I fell asleep again, and then that became a half an hour longer sleep. But it's okay. I'm letting myself be. And yesterday night, the weather was there was a lot of thunderstorm, and I could the hail. I think it was hailing because it was hitting the window so loudly, and it cooled everything down a little bit. Not in a winter kind of way, but in a spring kind of way, moist kind of way. And that was good. I slept better. And that is all I got for you this week. And as my week unfolds, I make notes in my, I actually just have a simple, school spiral bound notebook. And I make notes so I can come here and share what I did that week in terms of my creative practice, in terms of making a business out of that creative practice, as well as how I am taking care of myself, how I am growing, and not, like keeping a close eye as to what really happened, because I tend to look back, I didn't get that done, and beat myself up, but I do not take into account what the circumstances were, why it didn't work out, or why I couldn't deliver what I thought I could, and make that a point that maybe I overcommitted, and maybe that was not the smartest thing to do. That was definitely not the smartest thing to do. But, seeing that, so that those mistakes are not repeated, and I'm not beating myself up unnecessarily. If something didn't work, let's take the lesson out of it and make a better plan. And with that, I am going to say bye for this week and see you next Sunday. Bye. Have a great week.